Coming up next on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota and Bet365, the division race is starting to get out of hand. Is it wild card or bust for the Cubs after losing 2 out of 3 to the Cardinals? And what about that call at second base? CHGO Cubs coming up next. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs podcast driven by Toyota. Let's go places and Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. Use the code CHGO365 at sign up. A tough loss on a Sunday night. 3-2 to the Cardinals and the division race. Cubs now 6 games back of the Brewers. Luke Stuckmeyer, Kevin Wells, and Patrick Norton with you after this game as we get ready for the Cubs to have an off day and a very important week ahead. Hi to everybody in the live YouTube chat here at the all-new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel. I see a lot of familiar faces in there. We will get to your Toyota Super Chats in just a bit. But guys, first I just want to get the initial reaction. I want to get to that play real quick, but I do want to know just what your quick thoughts are on how this game ended and falling that far back in the Brewers.
You want to get my reaction on the play or the Brewers?
No. I'm curious what you just think of the whole state of the Cubs at this moment after this series, and then we'll get to the play right away.
I mean, I think they're starting to turn a corner offensively. The hits are starting to get there, but I'm unbelievably frustrated with the way the execution has been. They have had the best starting pitching ERA since July 12th in the big leagues. A sub-3 starting pitching ERA, combined group, with all of the injuries, with everything. And they cannot find a way to offensively put themselves over in these games. So my initial feeling is immense frustration with that because you are getting contributions from your starting rotation. It's been very good. Shota probably had his second best outing of the year tonight, maybe his best. Falling 6 backs to the Brewers, whatever. You just got to get in the race. Did I want them to win the division? Yeah, but the Brewers have caught lightning in a bottle, and they're riding a streak that's pretty unprecedented, and they're not going to be able to keep up this streak. It will come back to earth at some point. So the division is lost, though. It's lost. You got to focus on the wild card now and just staying in that race.
Well, I think there are two things, too. I think one is this also allows them to now just focus on themselves. If the division is truly lost, all right, forge ahead, focus on the wild card, fix your offense, get better. There is also something poetic about them losing the Matthew Boyd and Shota Imanaga starts, but winning the Colin Ray start in a series in which you needed at least 2 out of 3. You would have loved 3 out of 3. Even with 2 out of 3, you were going to fall another game behind the Brewers, who just cannot lose right now. And instead, you have your 2 best guys going. Yes, they've been performing well all year. Yes, they even performed well this weekend, and you still couldn't get it done.
Yeah, it is crazy to think that going into this series, they had their two aces, A and B, going at it, and Boyd and Shota, and those are the 2 games they lost because they only scored 2 runs in those games. Like you keep waiting for PCA and Tucker to break out of it and Seiya to break out of it, and it's like right now it's just not coming. The production's coming from the bottom of the lineup and guys like Shaw and Horner and whoever else might be down there. So it's just been a brutal stretch of offense for the Cubs and at exactly the wrong time. And then you get plays when you think to yourself, maybe this is the moment, right? You get to the 9th inning, they start to force it, they get the walk, you get Birdie on there, he goes on the first pitch. Thought he was safe. I'm so sick of listen, I'm a guy that's now for the robot ump, right? Like the automatic balls and strikes. I'm for it. I'm not that old, but you can't just what are we going to do next with this, the hand coming off the bag thing? First of all, if it comes off a millimeter for 1 second, I don't think that's the spirit of the ball game, right? Like
No.
you don't want guys running slower to the base so that they can just automatically stick to the base. I don't think that's the idea of it. And I don't think the base of his hand came off the bag. How you can even tell it. So now you have to go back to the original call, which was wrong because he was calling down the fact that he thought the tag beat him, which it did not.
It wasn't even close.
It wasn't
No.
even close. So it was a bad call. And then you let technology influence the rest of it. It's like, what are we going to do next? Should we just ask Chat GPT if everybody's safe at second now? Is that where we're at? It was a ridiculous call. And he would have scored on the next hit.
I'm pretty fed up with the MLB replay review system. I don't know if they got this one right. I am in favor of getting the call right. I like replay review. I like having umpires behind the plate, but I am in favor of the robot system. I am in favor of getting the calls right. I do think that that is in the spirit of the game. But the thing with this call in particular, two things can be true, and I'm going to separate them into categories. I like MLB replay review, especially these calls on the bases. If his hand was off the base, yes, he's out. That's been the rule forever. That's baseball. I'm not going to sit here and argue semantics about that. You got to hold on to the bag. However, they have to find a way to prove that his hand actually came off the bag and his forearm wasn't touching the bag or any other part of it. If you're going to do one thing, you got to do them both. Because to me, it looks like the hand hits up and maybe comes off, but you can't tell. Even on a zoom in, you're not going to be able to tell. So you're going to have to start putting cameras in the bases and actually figuring this thing out. And I know that sounds silly, but that has to happen. Kind of like in the postseason when you have the camera underneath home plate there, you have it facing up there. You got cameras in the base paths. That might have to become a regular thing because let's be honest, I really do think Birdie was safe. It's not in my jurisdiction to argue whether it was in the spirit of baseball if his hand comes off for a millimeter because he beat it by half a second. That's a judgment call. I don't know. I see where you're coming from, Luke, and I get it because he was there and probably scores on that hit easy by Nico, and you've got a tie ball game with your hottest hitter coming up, Matt Shaw. Maybe that changes things. I know he got out, but the whole MLB replay review system needs an overhaul because there's some calls that can't be reviewed right now. The base path interference call for some reason can't be, but this can be reviewed, but other things can't. But I'm not going to review this at a certain time. They figure it out. Seriously.
Well, arguably the most frustrating part of that too is that you pointed to it, Kevin, too, is that it was indisputable that he was safe originally.
And that was what the call was. Yeah.
And that's what the call was. And that should immediately then, you should be able to, this is the flaw in the rule in that they have to take into account the entire play. They can't break it down piece by piece. Because if you take that first part, indisputably safe. Second part, if you want to argue about it, did more than just his fingers pop up, or was it just was his palm still on the base? Whatever it was, that sure. If you want to have that argument, sure. But at the point where he beats the throw, that is what the call was based on, and that is why he should be safe. Right there.
Rob in the live YouTube chat says, hey, can't leave it to the umpires. I don't disagree with that. Again, I'm not saying that call or replay is the reason they lost the game. I'm saying it might have tied it, but we still don't know if they would have won or lost the game. I'm just frustrated with that call in general in baseball, whether it's the postseason, whether it's last year, the year before. Every time I see it, I'm frustrated by it because the only result you can get from keeping a call it that way is eventually guys are going to have to start to go slower to the bases. And we don't want that. Nobody wants that. And I get it if a guy's whole body pops off the bag and he gets tagged, but you're trying to take a grainy millimeter of video and decide whether or not a call is right. And it's just not. You could clearly see the guy was safe. Whether or not his hand fully came off, you cannot see. And I know the original call was out, but it was not out because of his hand lifted off the bag. He was called out because they thought he the tag beat him there. And it didn't.
That's where my frustration lies is the umpire for one, why was he so far up the base path for one? Why was he not right on top of the play? I don't know what, and I guess
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to react in the moment. I've never done the job, so I don't know. But to me, he's behind the runner, which is not a good angle. And then he just calls him out when he almost did it for vibes, like to get the cheer of the crowd. Like Birdie's hand was in there almost a full second before Mason Wynn swiped the tag on him. And that tag, we saw a comment in there that, he was safe because maybe the tag swiped his arm off the bag or whatever. And that could have been argued too. There just needs to be more cut and dry yes or no answers with these replay reviews and with these umpires. It has to change because it's not just the Cubs being impacted by these calls. It's not just the Cardinals being impacted. It's all of baseball. I mean, and they're coming. And I see, don't leave it down to the umpires to score a game. Yeah, but you know what?
Sometimes it comes down to that.
I agree with you, but guess what? Like that cost them the game tonight. That call cost them the game tonight. So it does come down to umpires who do have a big say in these games when crucial moments arise. The Cubs had 8 hits tonight. It's not like they didn't hit the ball. Offense is kind of coming back. They're hitting the ball. They're just it's not happening in the moments that it needs to, and you're not getting enough home runs from your boppers.
There you go.
That's it. But don't tell me that the umpires that you have to outscore the umpires. If a guy makes a bad call or replay review influences the outcome of the game, that's a good argument and a standalone basis. Like that.
Well, and when you're slumping too, you need some luck to break your way at some point. And look at the Brewers, for example. They're not slumping, and they have all the luck breaking their way. And I guess you kind of make your own luck too. But at some point, if you could just get a little bit of help from the clear and obvious replay that shows him being safe, to just make the plain and simple call. Because here's the thing. The call stands. If he's called safe on that play, he's safe on review. Are they gonna say
right
indisputably his hand popped off? Because they didn't say that tonight.
Thank you, Patrick. That is exactly what we're arguing. And everybody who's saying in the comments, well, we're making excuses. No, that's the argument. If he was safe on the field like he should have been, because the ump is not calling it for the rise above, like they're not overturning that call and he's safe and the game is tied and we're in extra innings right now.
Now, all that said, the Cubs also, again, have failed to do some of the little things well. Like they had some really nice plays. Matt Shaw had some brilliant plays over at third base, right? But you have PCA getting picked off at second. It's a problem. You had Tucker miss a cutoff man. That didn't end up leading to another run, but it could have led to a huge run late in the game. They had some missed opportunities, and Shota was great. But the last 2 at-bats were not great for him, right? Like he left the ball over the plate in some bad spots. I see a Toyota super chat from our guy, Steven. If PCA was having an average player, he's in Iowa now, but I lost that. But it's impossible to do that now, even with his struggle. You're not calling – the guy's in an MVP race. My only question about the PCA and Tucker and Seiya is like we were sitting here – a month and a half ago, and we were pretty sure the Cubs were going to have at least 3 30 home run guys, and we thought there was a good chance they might have a couple of 40s, right? And they haven't had a 40 home run hitter since Derek Lee.
Yeah,
these slumps have lasted a long time. Yeah. Tucker's got one since July 1st. One.
Yeah.
And Seiya and PCA have been sitting there at 27 for a while now. I'm not sure anybody's getting a 40.
No, the Kyle Tucker has to start slugging, man. It's past time, and he knows it. We all know it. We can beat it over everyone's head. Kyle Tucker's got to hit home runs for this team to win. We knew that when they traded for him. He's still getting on base. He's still impacting the game. I thought yesterday's base running from the first inning there where he scored that run when the ball got past Contreras. I thought that was the play that was going to reignite the Cubs offense because heads-up base running plays and stealing runs, that matters. And that's what you need when your offense is struggling. Kyle's doing all of that the right way. He hasn't really made any terrible mistakes in the field. He's running the bases well. He's still getting on. But if he's not hitting home runs, none of this matters. He has to hit home runs.
All right, we have to take a quick break in the live YouTube chat. I want to know, do you think the division race is officially over tonight? We'll get to that in a second. But first, a word from our sponsors here at CHGO. At Toyota's National Sales Event, we've got a long lineup of vehicles for summer fun. 4Runners, an off-road icon. Tundra hauls it all with twin-turbo engine. And Tacoma takes adventure straight to the top. Want to ride with sizzle, hot style, and efficiency? The all-hybrid Camry is revving and ready to ride. Visit your local Chicagoland Toyota dealer or Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. And what a time it is right now to become a CHGO diehard. Upgrade your fandom today with us. Get access to our exclusive written content, a free t-shirt, plenty of discounts on future merch and events, plus access to our CHGO Discord lounge where the conversation never ends. Go to ALLCITY for the latest information on how you can join thousands of diehards already in our community. Get ready for Bears season and hopefully for a playoff push by your Chicago Cubs.
It's already been a hot summer, so is your home's air conditioning up for the challenge? If you listen closely, you can probably hear mine running in the background. It's been running all day this 90-degree day here in the city. Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric has been serving Chicagoland for over 50 years. And now's the time to get it checked out with Four Seasons experts who are ready to help you with AC installation, maintenance, and repairs. When it's hot and humid, you want to know your home will be cool and comfortable. Just because you have to sweat out the Cubs game like we did tonight doesn't mean you need to sweat in your house. Schedule your Four Seasons AC tune-up today. Save $50 and enjoy a 1-year no-breakdown guarantee. Save up to $4,000 on new comfort systems with Four Seasons. New AC units, $39 a month. AC furnace combos, $57 a month. Just call 866-4-SEASONS. Your trusted local experts are Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com.
Cubs lose 3-2 to the Cardinals, and they lose 2 out of 3 in the series as they drop one in St. Louis. Before the break, I asked, is the division race over? Matthew says division's probably over. They are up 6 games on the Reds. Still number 1 in the wild card, still over 95% chance to make the playoff. The Brewers have had just an unbelievable stretch. They haven't lost a game in August.
Yeah,
they're undefeated in August.
And they're winning in so many different ways. And I know a lot of fans will point to luck. And they have benefited from infield hits, and they've benefited from some closers breaking down and playing teams in rough stretches. The Mets are in the middle of their worst stretch of the season, and Milwaukee takes advantage of that today. But you know what? You can't pick who's on your schedule, man. They're playing out of their minds right now. And it doesn't look like it's going to – there's signs that it might slow down here a little bit. They were down 5-0 today, and the Mets completely collapsed again. They blew a lead in every game that series. But you know what? The division race, you got to tip your cap and focus on yourself now, like Patrick said. I think this is about focusing on the wild card now. Making up 6 games with about 45 games to go. It's possible. It's been done. But it's not likely.
You'd have to win like 4 out of 5 at Wrigley for sure.
You need to go on a nice win streak here, and this team hasn't done that yet this year, so I don't know if that happens either.
You're pressing enough already. Let's not push it.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's not take that Uber mentality.
So then the question becomes, if first of all, I didn't see this coming from the Brewers. I really didn't. We went to that takeover where we were all at the Potawatomi Casino and Hotel, and the Cubs pounded the Brewers, and we all took a big picture. And I thought, man, this is it. This is finally the year the Brewers, it finally caught up to them. The voodoo magic that they have, the whatever potion they have up there, this is it. I didn't see this team for the Brewers going on a run like this. That said, if the division is lost and the 5 games against them really won't make a difference at Wrigley Field, if it is indeed going to be the Brewers winning the division, I guess the question turns to, do you think the Cubs have enough to hold this lead in the wild card? They're the first team in the wild card, but guys, they were up this same distance on the Brewers not too long ago.
I don't know. Pat, you go first.
I don't either.
I don't think you can be overly confident about it at all. But I also don't think that any other team that's below the Cubs right now are headed on a stretch like the Brewers have been on either. Because the Cubs, for what it's worth, I saw a comment in here for a minute ago. Yeah, they've been slumping for a while. Let's not act like it's been terrible, terrible baseball for the last 2 months either. They're still playing 500 or above baseball. I guess now since June 21st, they'd be a game under or 2 games under. But regardless, they're still playing okay ball for being in as bad of a slump as they are in. So you have to think that if they are able to get out of this rut, which we still think they are, at least a couple of the guys, then they should rebound a little bit back in the standings. I don't think that they're going to continue to just this massive windfall or whatever, or not windfall, but this just massive fall in the standings. I think it's just at some point they'll kind of at least level off or get a little bit better here and there. I just don't see every other team having that same success that the Brewers seem to be having right now.
We have a big Toyota super chat here from Joe DiGiacomo, $9.99. The division race is over. The only division the Cubs play in on a regular basis, since they aren't a serious enough organization to play in the Central, is the wild card division. That's the focus now. And $50 from Sell the Team Ricketts. Yes, the Brewers aren't going to lose enough down the stretch for us to catch them, even if we get hot again. It's mathematically possible. Sure, mathematics probable, no chance. My prediction, Milwaukee wins the World Series, and I up my antidepressants.
I got news for you guys. That's one of the best chats we've had since I've been doing this show. That is hilarious.
That's pretty funny. I tell you what, as hot as the Brewers are now, and as good as it looks for them, listen, the Cubs were a pretty hot team earlier in the season too, and it might be coming a little early for Milwaukee. We'll see if that plays out for them. I don't know.
I was just going to say, I think it's a little early for them, and I do think they are a very solid team, and they're getting contributions from 1 through 26. I think that's the thing that no other team right now can say is every single guy in the Milwaukee roster is contributing to wins. I don't think any other team right now can say that now, and I don't think the Brewers will be able to say that in a couple of weeks. There's just no chance that this can keep up. It just, it doesn't happen. I think in terms of the division, yeah, they look like they have that pretty locked up. It's pretty bleak right now for the Cubs in that term. But in terms of the wild card, me thinking they can hold on to a wild card spot, I think they can. I think they have enough offense to do that. I think with the way Shota and Boyd have pitched this year, I think and Kate Horton on the rise. I mean, there's no signs of regression in the starting rotation. I mean, Shota was excellent again tonight. 9 strikeouts, and his strikeout rate has gone up significantly from the break in the second half here. So he's actually getting better and trending up. Kate Horton trending up. Matthew Boyd has been about the same all year, which has been all-star level. So I don't think that the Cubs will fall out of a wild card spot. That being said, they do need to start getting more aggressive with AAA. They do need to start putting guys in the lineup that hit. Ballesteros came up and had a huge hit in Milwaukee. I would like to see him in Wrigley Field soon. Owen Casey is another guy I would like to see in Wrigley Field pretty soon. And I know people are like, well, don't count on prospects to win. I don't know. The Cubs called up Nico Horner when they couldn't hit, and he almost, he came up and was one of their hottest hitters for several weeks there. That was back in 2018, 2019. So I think 2019. So I would like the Cubs to start getting more aggressive in terms of bringing guys up and filtering guys in the DH role and giving guys more time off as we approach the stretch run here. I mean, the stretch run is pretty much what we're in now, but a month to go, in the season, come towards the tail end of August, it's time. And especially when you're getting hits, but you're not getting timely hits, which means guys are exhausted mentally. So maybe ease in. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but continually to do the same thing in times like this, I mean, that's Counsell's MO, and sometimes it works, but I think something's got to change. And I would like to see some lineup shakeups with Ballesteros, getting more at bats, and other guys just have to start coming through too. So
I see our guy Ron in the live YouTube chat says Cubs players gave up on the front office, just like the front office gave up on their players and fans. I mean, a lot of people not happy with obviously the trade deadline and how that went down. I don't know if one player right now would fix what's going on with him. But I also think that a big trade could have given a spark to this team that they obviously really need. Another thing that's frustrating about this is, two of the bigger question marks on this team. One was third base. You didn't know what you were getting in Matt Shaw, and we're going to talk about him in a minute, but like Shaw's answered the questions. Shaw's not the problem at all. Like he's the reason you've had a shot in some of these games. And then the other is starting pitching. And while Colin Ray has had bad moments, Colin Ray did it again. He got you a win here in St. Louis. Like he's done everything you could ask for in a number 5 starter. And then we've been begging for one of these young starters to take the next step. And it looks like Cade Horton has taken that next step. And so it's like, if you based it on those two things, you would think to yourself, the Cubs might be able to get away with not making that big move at the trade deadline. But they can't, because the guys they're really banking on, the superstars, are the ones that have just gone completely silent.
All at the same time, too.
All at the same time.
Yeah. And that's not a recipe for success, right? Clearly.
What's going on with Tucker? I don't have the answer for it.
I don't.
And part of the thing, too, and you kind of mentioned it just now, sure, they've had a lot of injuries to their rotation. I mean, Assad hasn't been available all year. Tyone's been out for a couple of months, or at least it feels that way. Steele's been gone all year. Imanaga was down for a month at one point. You just said Colin Ray's done everything you should ask for in a 5th starter. Right now, he's your 4, which herein lies the problem. Like,
well, he should be your number 6 starter. That's who he should be.
Yeah. And instead, they're relying on him for a lot more than that. Another part of it, and I don't know if you guys saw this, but Anthony Rizzo, I think, was on, I want to say Johnny Manziel's podcast last week. And he pointed out, and I don't know when this was recorded. I think it was recorded before the trade deadline, so I don't think there was anything pointed toward what the Cubs did at the deadline or anything. But he said in 2016 when they acquired Chapman, and I suppose you could throw Mike Montgomery in there too. Not really, but you can. That was I forget what the exact phrasing, but like a shot in the arm type thing, where it provides the boost. It makes the players believe that they're believed in, and that's a significant chunk to to the morale in that clubhouse. And I can't speak for the morale in the clubhouse right now, but the body language when they're down a run in the 9th or when they're down a run in the 5th is just a very deflated one. It's all right, well, move on. I guess we'll see what happens next. Instead of we can do this, we can win this, like it was in May.
It's why I pushed so hard for Suarez, and it wasn't because yes, the conversation was, of course, Matt Shaw, can he hit? We'll see. We don't know. But the reason I pushed so hard for Suarez on this podcast was for this very reason. Carson Kelly being your 4-hitter still. He's hit well with guys on base this year. If you look at his splits with guys at scoring position, it's actually favorable numbers. But I don't care. Eugenio Suarez is a proper bat to have in the middle of your lineup at a contending season. It wasn't my want for Suarez wasn't because of Matt Shaw. It was strictly to lengthen the lineup, and you're seeing why I thought that would have been a pretty good move. It didn't happen. I'm not here to go back on the trade deadline. It didn't happen. But yeah, that shot in the arm would have been huge, I think. It does. It's a mental game, right? And adding a guy who can, you can go up there and you don't really have to, it just takes pressure off guys, right? But it didn't happen. And you're riding with the guys you have, and Matt Shaw was good again tonight. But yeah, the offense, when Kyle Tucker and Seiya and Pete are not slugging, none of this is going to work. That is your engine. That is how this team was built. That's why you traded for Tucker. I know you traded for him for a lot of reasons, but that is in essence why you traded for him. He's the slug. He's the bat. He's the thunder. Without that, none of this matters.
We will talk more about Matt Shaw in a second. Tell us how you're feeling in the live YouTube chat as we head to break. First, a word from our sponsors here at CHGO. Looking to buy, sell, trade, or rip open a pack of cards? Arena Club is changing the hobby with their transparent slab packs and no-fee auctions. You got to check out these slab packs. Arena Club makes it easy to collect the cards you love. Get authentic, graded cards instantly on Arena Club. You decide, hold, sell, or have them shipped directly to you. You can also decide to take instant cash on an offer based on market value. With slab packs, you can rip a pack for as low as $25 and hit on a card that's worth tens of thousands of dollars. Arena Club, the most trusted name in the game. They offer full transparency, showing every card in the pack with the likelihood of pulling each one before you buy. Arena Club has 1 to 2 specialty drops per week on average. They only last about 24 hours. Right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/CHGO. Again, use the code CHGO and rip a slab pack.
Game Time makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on Game Time actually go down the closer you get to first pitch. Makes it really nice for living near the ballpark, especially for me. I love going and using Game Time. They have killer last-minute deals, views from your seat, and the lowest price guaranteed. Get ready for that next homestand when the Cubs return to Wrigley. They are hosting the Pirates and the Brewers. Tickets will be on fire. Fees will be included. You know your total up front, no surprise fees at checkout. You get a panoramic view from where you're sitting too. Lowest price guaranteed. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app. Create an account. Plug in the code CHGO. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, just create an account. Redeem the code CHGO. $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets. Lowest price guaranteed.
Hey, we want to tell you about a special deal that we have coming up. It was originally just a diehard deal, but now that we've sold it to the diehard fans, it's our big takeover coming up on the 15th against the Pirates. It's our Friday 120 club. This time we're doing it rooftop style. I think it's the last rooftop that is not owned by the Chicago Cubs. It's the one next to the firehouse there. I've sat here before. It's a really fun time. We will meet at Murphy's Bleachers. That's where we're going to pregame. And then the rooftop deal includes all the food you can handle, all the drink you can handle for the Cubs and Pirates. But now we've doubled down on it, and now you're getting 2 for 1. We're also going to get one of those doubleheader games against the Brewers coming up on that Monday. So it's a Friday, Monday, 1 against the Pirates, 1 against the Brewers, 2 for the price of 1. Hang out with us, have a good time. It's a great chance to see what obviously are going to be huge games for the Cubs. And go to allchgo.com to check out the deal for that. There are still some tickets available.
This is the time you want to be at Wrigley Field. I know this team is struggling, and I know it's frustrating to watch games like tonight. But, guys, it could be a lot worse, man. They're 5 games up in the wild card right now. They have a shot to make the postseason. A pretty darn good shot. 95% chance, I think Luke said earlier in the show.
Yeah.
These are the games you want to go to. I know it's frustrating. It sucks watching the Cubs lose a series to the Cardinals, especially when they played a better game tonight than the Cardinals and still lost. But going to these games down the stretches, we've been waiting for a while to be in this position. It's been a couple years. You're going to want to get there and enjoy it. These are the times to go to the park.
We talked about Matt Shaw a little bit going into the break, and I mean, I can't say enough about whatever adjustment he has made since the All-Star break, really since coming back, right? Like, I saw a stat today that said he is by I'm trying to think, what is it? Not just this one. This one's by Alex Cohen. This one's great too. Matt Shaw now has a higher BWAR, OPS plus, and more homers than Cam Smith in 108 fewer appearances, but he's also the 4th best hitter in baseball since the All-Star break. He's that good. He's ahead of Ohtani. He's ahead of Schwarber, guys that have been ridiculously hot. He's been that good. His WRC plus is the 4th best in all of baseball.
I think he's top 4 or 5 in defensive runs saved at the third base position this
right.
year.
And I was just about to say that's only half the picture. I mean, You look at some of the plays, he's making them consistently now. It's not like you can say, oh, did you see that play this week from Matt Shaw? Because he makes one every night over there. And that's the part I wasn't even sure was going to happen. There were so many people that questioned whether or not he was a third baseman. I think you have your answer there. For all the people that were worried about Cam Smith, again, it's way too early to decide that. that is an interesting stat from Alex Cohen, that all that hype about Cam Smith, and he has been at the major league level all season, which is incredible. But Shaw's played less games, and he's already caught him numbers-wise. And he's got 9 home runs now?
Yeah. You got to remember, too,
PCA's path wasn't straight up either, and now you're starting to see Shaw. I don't expect it, just like PCA struggling now. Shaw's going to have struggles in his career, but it's great to see that he's made his adjustment, and now it's time for the rest of baseball to adjust back to him.
Matt Shaw's been great. He was one when he came up. He started the year, the Dodgers here. You always knew the bat was going to take some time. I didn't know. It's hard to judge how long it takes guys to get it, but you always saw something with him. He's fast. He's an athlete. There was always something to his build that was like, okay, there's something here. And some of his swing mechanics were pretty wonky. And, Brendan Miller, our guy, went through that a lot and how he changed his swing a few different times. But the one thing that never wavered was his arm strength and his ability to play the third base position. And that's his job now.
Yeah.
Matt Shaw is the third baseman of the Cubs, and he's taken that position by storm. Whether or not, the Cubs may have decided that a couple weeks ago internally, or maybe a couple months ago, like, this is going to be our guy for the next couple of years. I'm deciding it now for us. I mean, this guy's the third baseman of the future for the Cubs. I mean, he has played an excellent defensive third base. So, I mean, some of these plays, he's just making them look routine. This is his first year in the league. He got drafted as a shortstop.
Yeah.
He played some third base in the minor leagues, but not all that much. And he's come up and he's played just out of his mind over there. I mean, the growth at the plate has been excellent. I don't want to say it's been expected, because it's hard, to learn at the big league level, especially with some of the pitchers the Cubs have faced this season. I mean, he's been thrown into the fire and he's done an excellent job. And he's carrying the offense right now, which should not happen, by the way. But he has been the best hitter on the team in the second half, and I hope it keeps up. But he's earned his spot, and I'm excited for the next few years of Matt Shaw, because he just looks like same thing. I said the same thing about PCA last year. Looks like a ball player, has a feel for the game, has the defensive backing, runs the bases really well. It's a pretty good foundation. I'm excited to see what this guy can do here in the next couple weeks and next couple years.
We could have a 10-hour discussion on lineup construction and where everyone slots in.
Yeah.
And talk about how much the grief Counsell gets in our YouTube chat he gets. Yeah. So that's what I kind of want to get to. 2 things. One, I think I've seen enough from Carson Kelly in the 4-hole. For as unexpectedly decent, right? For as unexpectedly decent of a year that he's had, he just doesn't give you the consistent pop. He gives you a consistently good at bat, but a consistently good at bat doesn't mean anything when it still typically will end with a grounder to short or a grounder to second. Why not give Matt Shaw a shot at the 4-hole for a couple of games? Because he's providing you. Luke, we had this conversation, I think, on the show last week. He's providing you more pop than Nico, but he is a very Nico-like player. And for what he sacrifices, for what Shaw sacrifices in average, he supersedes Horner in power. Other than that, I'd almost say that they're an identical player. Like their big difference is just the small fluctuation there. And that's a very good thing. You have to at some point move him up. That's just kind of where I'm at with this lineup right now.
Yeah, I don't know where to go with the leadoff thing. Obviously, Busch is struggling too.
Sure.
Like, Busch had a great first half and it was going really well, and he a couple more strikeouts today. I don't know. I talked about having crazy things like having Tucker lead off just to try and have him snap out of it. I wouldn't mind Shaw. Excuse me. Excuse me. Shaw or Nico lead off. Cough. The worst.
Sure.
Listen, I mean, something's got to happen, right? Pat, I like that point. I think moving him up in the lineup is something that, I think that's probably in the cards for Counsell. We've seen him kind of shuffle the deck a little bit. We've seen him move Hap around, but yeah, maybe it's Shaw's turn to move up. And again, though, I just want to keep pointing out that regardless of where Shaw is in the lineup, I mean, all of this is just, I mean, it's so dependent on Kyle Tucker. If he's not hitting, the lineup doesn't really make a lot of sense, and you can come up with a variety of ways to figure out who bats where. But if Tucker's not slotted into that 2-hole or that 3-hole on days where they're facing righties or lefties, whatever it may be, like it just makes things so difficult, to try to figure out where guys go in the lineup. Because Shaw's been pretty good, and I think if you're not willing to try that, I would question your methods. I think they would be willing to try moving him up. I don't know when, but it should be something that they should look into.
Well, and I think one of the things too that we see a lot in our YouTube chat and online in general, or really we've had the discussions too, is, well, Counsell did this with his lineup. Counsell did that. Counsell should change this. Why does he keep changing it? For the most part, if you keep looking back at the games, the variations in the lineup are very small, and they often have to do with substitutions as in who's in and who's out. Today felt like a day where Willie Castro almost got a day off as the guy from giving guys a day off. And the way that I look at it is, sure, so Hap was your leadoff guy for most of the first half.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you were successful. He wasn't necessarily very successful in the leadoff spot, but the rest of your lineup was. So you go back to that and just hopes that, all right, maybe things just kind of click in and slot back together in a proper way. If Hap is your leadoff guy, even if it means that Hap is only batting at 220, but maybe with an on base of 310, there are a lot of different variations. My point here is the lineup has been relatively the same-ish all year. It's on the guys to hit. Like, that's what it comes down to. It doesn't come like Craig Counsell can't put together. If Craig Counsell had the cheat code to, well, the offense would click if I put these guys in this particular order, I think you probably would have done that by now, right?
Yeah. Well, there's too many guys not hitting at the same time. That's why it's not easy to be like, oh, let's put this guy batting cleanup, because I don't know Matt Shaw might be the guy I want batting cleanup at this point, and that sounded ridiculous not more than 3 weeks ago, right? So I don't know. I have a question about PCA. Like, I saw Shaw hit the home run, and you see how pumped he is, and that's the energy you saw from PCA early in the season. That's who he is, right? And I know people have said, and I agree with this, he does need to bring it down just a little bit. I don't want to take the fire out of him. I don't want to take the spark plug out of a guy who is the ultimate spark plug, just like I didn't want to do that with Javi. But do the highs and lows become bigger for a guy like that, right? Like, when he's struggling like this, I can't remember the last at bat where I didn't see him throw the bat. Anytime he doesn't get a hit, he throws his bat. And I don't know if that means anything, but it feels slightly contagious in a team that's not doing anything offensively. Is that crazy of me to think that? Like, his energy is so contagious when things are going well, right? Like the beating of the chest and pumping up the team, that when he's struggling and frustrated, it sort of feels like that's also contagious. Am I reading too much into that?
I don't know. It's a weird game, right? I mean, obviously baseball is momentum driven, and there's so much variance in the game, and every little thing can kind of play a role. I don't know. The Cubs clubhouse is full of veterans and World Series winners, and so I don't know. I'm sure they've seen this before and played with alongside young rookies, up and coming rookies who have lit the world on fire. I know Dansby did it in Atlanta with Acuna and Albies, guys who really played with their hair on fire all the time. And so I don't know how much that plays a role, and I don't know how much you want to hone that in if you're the manager. But we did hear Craig again in the broadcast today saying we need to celebrate, the way Pete plays the game. And while I totally agree with him, I do think there has to come a point where you do have to manage them a little bit harder. I know baseball is different than football. But I wonder how much these guys, we heard it with Caleb Williams and Ben John. I want to be coached hard. Like, I wonder how many of these guys want to be coached harder. And I don't know if that, Craig is steady, right? Like, that's why it's the same energy every single day. And that's a good thing for 162. You need that. That's a positive. But there comes a point in time when Pete is struggling the way he is, like, maybe you do need to get in his ear a little bit and try and tell him to do some things different. Because, I mean, man, getting picked off second base today, I mean, dude, come on. Like, you cannot get picked off of second base in any game. You're one of the best base runners in the game, and you cost your team a huge opportunity there. I mean, there's just something that he does need a little bit, like, someone needs to hone in on him a little bit. And I don't know if that's, I don't know. It's something you can't judge or put on a metric. You don't know, but I'm sure that his negative energy is, he talked about it. He wants to be a better teammate in the second half. He said that at the All-Star break. So, maybe it is playing a role.
Well, I think it's the.
Oh, go ahead, Patrick.
Sorry, I think the mentals are just such a big part of his game, and I think that there is that contagious effect with his attitude in the lineup and at the plate, and even in the field or on the base paths. And part of that is, but what I would also mention is that he throws the bat even when he's hitting 400 in a month. Like, if one thing doesn't go his way, he's upset about it, and that's a great thing about PCA. Part of it, though, and what we have to accept and expect, is the fact that when he's not gonna get out of his funk until somebody else ahead of him in the lineup does. Because until he doesn't think that he has to be the savior every time that he's at the plate, he's just going to press harder and harder and harder. And so until Tucker breaks out, or until Suzuki breaks out, until something happens ahead of him in the order, I really just don't think that he's going to be the guy that suddenly comes out and then everybody else breaks out right after.
A lot of people just angry in the chat tonight. I think some might be Brewers fans trolling a little bit. I saw our guy Dane said, "Why are we calling Pete PCA?" And I scrolled back to find his previous post on the chat, and he called him PCA. So I don't know. Why are you calling Peter Pete? For the same reason.
Anyway. He embraced the nickname. He said it on a broadcast. He goes,
I think if you ask anybody around baseball who's the center fielder for the Cubs, they'd say PCA.
Yeah.
They wouldn't say Pete Crow Armstrong. I don't think so. Anyways, I don't. So this week is the Pirates and the Blue Jays, right?
Yeah, Blue Jays, they're going to Canada tonight,
and then you flip it for the other side. The Brewers actually have the Pirates as well. Man, Toronto's a surprising team this year too. Like, it doesn't get easy. You go to Canada, the Blue Jays are one of the hottest teams in the last 30, 35 games too.
Yep, they lead the division. They got a better record than you, and they're playing very well right now. They're playing. So it's you're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to score 2 runs and be in a game in the 9th inning with this Blue Jays offense. I mean, you're going to have to score. You're going to have to start hitting home runs. Starting pitching's been outstanding, but this is going to be a really tough series. Granted, now the Cubs have played pretty well against good teams, but that was a long time ago. It almost feels like it was another year ago. I know it was back in April and May. They played really good baseball against good teams, but it seems like a lifetime ago at this point. So this is a big test, no doubt.
It is a lesson in how fast things can turn around in baseball. Like, we're a lot of Cubs fans obviously really frustrated, and you started the show by saying that, right, Kevin? Like, this is just a really frustrating stretch. It's been frustrating games to watch on a nightly basis. And you go back and you look at the Blue Jays last year and you say, man, that was you talk about frustrating seasons. I was saying they need to trade Guerrero. They need to trade Bichette. They need to trade somebody to spark this team, and look where they're at now. You looked at the Brewers early in the season, and I thought to myself, they might finish in 3rd place in this division. And here they are on this historic run. So things can turn quickly. I just don't see that spark necessarily coming from the Cubs, right? Like, I don't think they're as good as we saw early in the season, and they're definitely not as bad as what we've seen, because they're still playing like 500 or above 500 ball. But they're somewhere in between that. And so I don't think that's going to be good enough to catch the Brewers. You have to hang your hat on that, on the fact that they're still leading the wild card. And I do think they're good enough to hang on to that. I'm not positive, but I do think they're good enough to hang on to that. But this is not an easy series coming up against the Blue Jays. And you better not take the Pirates lightly, even though, you've had fun with the Pirates, but like nothing's a given now the way this offense is playing.
No, and it's almost a bit of like a chicken or the egg situation right now, because when at the early part of this year, when they were performing well and when they were hitting in bunches, and not only were they hitting in bunches, but they were no deficit was unreachable. They were the comeback Cubs. They were the heart attack Cubs at the beginning of this year, and they haven't had a legitimate comeback since May. I believe it was May 25th was the last time that they entered the 7th inning trailing and won that game. And it's almost like they need a comeback to spark this offense again, or is it the offense that needs to get sparked so that they can then win these games? Like what needs to happen first? And I don't know what happens first.
Yeah.
And we're in this situation that we're in right now.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to veteran leadership, and the Cubs have a ton of it. I don't know who it'll be, but they do need a spark. You're 100% right. I don't know. Craig Counsell isn't going to reveal that to us. He's going to be very just, monotone and straightforward. And that's, he's going to be calm, cool, collected. That's his manager style. He's not going to change it. So maybe it comes from one of your veteran leaders. I know last year we were waiting on, Dansby Swanson maybe to rally the guys, and that didn't really work. So I don't know. It has to come from the players themselves, though. You're right. Patrick, you made a good point earlier that Counsell makes the line. This guy's got to hit. It doesn't really matter when your three best players aren't hitting the ball. So they need a spark. They had an opportunity to get a spark at the deadline to help. They didn't do that necessarily. They're relying on they have a lot of World Series winners and a lot of playoff experience in that locker room. I don't know who is going to choose to be the leader and get things going. We saw Justin Steele last year get fired up, and we've seen Pete and Matt get fired up on the base. But it's got to come from Dansby. It's got to come from Tucker. It's got to come from one of your everyday players who's won a World Series. And I don't know, but that's to be seen. But they do need something. They need to start playing a little bit tighter. I know they're keeping it loose, and they're playing 162, and we keep. I would like to see a little bit more urgency this week. Just tighten it up a little bit. Play like you're behind a little bit more, because it feels a little too lackadaisical right now.
We have another Toyota Super Chat. This one was from Cam. I just saw pop up talking about the Cubs' big chance coming after the Brewers series. They play 24 games against subpar teams, except for 3 against San Francisco, must win 28-24, then they have a chance.
The Giants kind of stink right now too. So
yeah. But you know what? At the same time, this was supposed to be the easy part of the schedule. We all hung our hats on how great the Cubs were early in the season, and they did it against the toughest schedule in baseball. It's a crazy sport, right? These were supposed to be the games they coasted to the division title, and it's been exactly the opposite of that. So Patrick, you do a lot of stuff with the Bears. It's why I always say all the preseason NFL stuff is garbage too, because nobody knows what schedule is an easy schedule or a bad schedule. You don't know what player is going to be hurt in week 2 of the season. That's going to completely change who's a good team and who's a bad team in the NFL. And in baseball, the schedule might look easy the second half for the Cubs, but it hasn't proven to be as easy as it was facing the teams that you knew were supposed to be really good early in the season. So I don't know. I can't hang my hat on the schedule. The Cubs just need to worry about themselves and play better baseball.
And that's why. Yeah, go ahead, Patrick. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say it's who you're playing when you're playing them.
Yeah,
like the Carolina Panthers last year were a terrible team, and the Bears beat up on them in week 4, week 5, and by the end of the year, the Carolina Panthers were better than the Bears. They looked the part too, and they had started to click in certain facets. This is kind of like that with that schedule, where it's just you never know what team you're playing at that given point in the year. So you can't just presume.
And I will point out too that as much as it's going to frustrate every fan, and as much as it's going to frustrate, baseball fans in general, you just got to get in. This isn't like the NFL. Major League Baseball's playoffs are not like any other sport. You really do just have to get in and be hot at the right time. There is luck in baseball. Yes, there's so much luck in baseball. Actually, we heard Craig Counsell say that the week he was hired here. Yes, do you believe there's luck in the game? Yeah, of course there is. And yes, it depends on who you're playing sometimes, Patrick. Yeah, 100%. Like, I think the Brewers right now, they caught the Mets at a good time, and they're taking advantage of a bad team right now, and they're capitalizing on mistakes, and they're making you pay for mistakes, and their sluggers are starting to hit a little bit more, and they're getting contributions from the guys they added in. They're doing everything the right way. But are they getting lucky at the same time? Absolutely they are. But that's part of the game, right? Like that's always going to be part of the game.
Big time.
And the Cubs have to now they have to, hopefully that it swings back in their direction. But they certainly have to find ways to make their own luck, and they got to start hitting the ball over the fence. I know that's a meatball armchair take.
No, but it's the truth.
But if they don't, that is their identity. That's what Jed built this team. When he was sitting in his office this offseason, traded for Kyle Tucker, and he had Michael Busch in his second year after what he showed last year, and Seiya, like, we're going to hit a lot of home runs. That's going to be our nucleus. That's going to be how we win games. And the reason this slump has gone on for so long is because there's a power outage. They're hitting the ball. 9 runs yesterday, and it was good. They hit a couple balls over the fence. It's great. But they're not taking enough walks the last couple of weeks. The key with walks, remember I said when they walk over 4 times a game, their record is insane. Like, they're not taking enough walks, and they're not hitting home runs. And they're not a small ball team. So you just got to start hitting the ball over the fence. I know you just got to do it. Enough is enough. Start doing it.
Well, they had 8 hits tonight, right? Okay, 8 hits isn't terrible, but 2 of them came in the 9th inning. And how many of those 8 hits were extra base hits? You talk about the power outages, not just home runs.
I think just one, right?
It's extra base hits. It was just the home run was the extra base hit, right? So it was a bunch of singles. Yeah. It's hard to score runs with just singles and stolen bases and moving the runner over. That's why baseball has changed to teams going for the home run so much, because it's just easier to score that way. Now, that doesn't mean when the wind's blowing in that you can't adjust your game and you have to be able to win both ways, but it's harder to put together a winning streak when you have when you're not having big bunches of extra base hits, not just home runs, doubles, triples.
Yeah.
Hit the ball to the wall.
And you had one of the National League home run leaders on the trade market going into the deadline.
But you had the RBI leader on your team too. You had the RBI leader on your team too, and he's just gone silent.
Yeah.
And you had a bunch of guys sitting at like 25 home runs. We were looking at this saying, oh, they're going to have 30 here. This guy's going to have 30. This guy's going to hit 40. They're going to have another 40. It's leveled off pretty quickly.
Seiya's a very good hitter, and I know his advanced metrics were really great last year. And I know Corey has said he's a top 20 OPS guy last year, and he was great. But the peaks and valleys with Seiya are pretty wild, man. I mean, he's not a streaky hitter. That's not fair to say. I think he's a very good baseball player. He's a very good, very high above average hitter in the game of baseball. But, man, when he goes through it, he goes through it. I mean, some of his swings and decisions late. I mean, it's like, what? It's a weird game. And I don't know. I'm not in there talking to him. I'm not his friend. I'm not the Cubs. I'm not Dustin Kelly, but clearly status quo isn't working right now. And that's why I'm I would like to see them start to spice it up a little bit. You got to start bringing guys along and figuring stuff out here, because there's time left. You're in a good position here, but I would like to see a little bit more urgency. I'd like to see a little bit more fight. I'd like to get back to where it wasn't just, oh, well, it's 162. Like, no, let's start pushing it along a little bit more.
Craig Brindle says in the live YouTube chat they should move Tucker behind Seiya. I'm willing to try anything at any time. I'm willing to try anybody at leadoff. I'm willing to try any lineup, and I hope Craig Counsell does it against the Blue Jays. We have a noon show tomorrow. Noon show. Hope you'll join us then, and then we'll pick up the game action with the Blue Jays on Tuesday and Wednesday night. Hope you'll join us then. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota and Bet365. Don't forget, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.